Mr. and Mrs. lived on a farm in Maine. The farm was called the Old Davis place because it had belonged to Mr.'s grandfather. When old Mr. Davis died, he left the entire farm to his grandson, young Mr. Davis, and the farm kept its name. The Old Davis place was a big farm, 137 acres of woods and pastures and fields. It backed up against the mountains, so the farm had also some wide, stony meadows, which in midsummer were covered with wild blueberries. 2 streams ran down from the western mountains, crossing the farm on their way to a distant lake. The streams dug steep ravines out of the hills and gullies, too, before they joined together in the woods to make one slower, broader stream that meandered across the lower, flatter pastures and fields. Mr. and Mrs. raised sheep for wool and chickens for eggs. They kept 2 Guernsey cows named Bethy and Annie after queens of England for milk and butter and sometimes cheese. They planted alfalfa and hay, soybeans, and feed corn in their fields. They grew vegetables in a big garden behind the house, and Mrs. also kept a few flower beds at the front. What they didn't need for themselves, they sold at a summer farm stand at the end of the driveway. Vegetables and eggs and sometimes fresh butter. The alfalfa, hay, and corn that they didn't store for winter feed, they sold at the farmers' cooperative in town, as well as wool when they had it. All of the soybeans were sold at the cooperative. The soybeans were their cash crop. Of course, there were cats on the farm. A farm needs cats. There were 2 barn cats, and they were hunters. They caught mice and rats, the occasional squirrel, and even the odd, unlucky bird. A sleepy marmalade cat named Patches lived in the house to catch the house mice. Mr. and Mrs. had sheep, cows, chickens, and cats, but they didn't have a dog. Sometimes they wondered if they might want one. So one winter day, they went to the library and took out several books to learn about different breeds. They both read the books, and then on the long winter evenings while Mrs. cut squares of patterned cloth for a quilt and Mr. sharpened the rototiller blades, they talked about the kind of dog they would want, if they wanted a dog. Mr. said, "I could train a dog to help herd the sheep and to find the milk cows when they wander off. A dog would keep the chickens safe from foxes and coyotes. The books say that border collies are easy to train, and they like to work hard." Mrs. said, "A dog would keep deer out of my vegetable garden and raccoons out of the garbage. A dog would be company for me when you are away all day. The books say that border collies like being with people." So it was decided. "We definitely need a dog, and probably a border collie," Mr. said. "But a purebred dog is awfully expensive, and besides, I like mongrels. I like what happens when different breeds have mixed together to make something new." "It looks like a border collie mongrel would be the perfect dog." "Let's go to the animal shelter," Mrs. suggested. "Not until spring, though. Not until we've moved the sheep out of their pen and up to the spring pasture." "All right. In spring, we'll get our dog," said Mrs.